Hi, welcome back to our online preparation course for the TOEFL test. In this module, we are going to continue getting prepared for the grammar section of the test, and this time we are going to be focusing on passive voice. What is passive voice? According to AngloLink, a sentence generally begins with the performer of the action, that is the subject, then the verb, and then the object or person that the action is performed on. This is what we call an active sentence. Okay, so for example, in this sentence, we have John cleaned the room. Okay, so in active sentences, the order of the words is subject, John, verb, cleaned, and object, the room. Okay? But on the other hand, if we begin the sentence with the object or person that the action is performed on, we formulate a passive sentence. Okay, so for example, in this sentence, the room was cleaned by John. Okay, so what is going to happen? The object is going to take the place of the subject, right? So we start the sentence with the room, then we have the verb, and then we have the subject, right? When it is passive voice, it becomes the agent, okay? So, again, when it is an active voice sentence, the order of the words is subject, verb, object. But when it is a passive sentence, the order of the words become object, verb, agent. Okay, how do we form passive voice sentences? Okay, so in this sentence, right, we have he painted the house. Okay, so what do we do first? First, remember, we have to change the object, right, in order to be part of the subject. No? For example, the house becomes the first part of the sentence. It becomes the subject. And he, that used to be the subject, becomes the object. No? The house painted he. Okay, this sentence is still not correct, but this is the first step. Then, what do we do next? We have to change the verb in order to have the verb to be in the tense of the sentence plus the past participle. Okay, so for example, in this case, the sentence is in past simple. So that's why we have the house was, because the sentence is in past simple, painted he. Okay? So again, this sentence is still not correct. So remember, we need to put the verb to be in the tense of the sentence plus the past participle. And then we have to delete the active sentence subject or place it after the preposition by in order to have the agent. Okay, for example, it can be the house was painted by him, or if we omit the object, without the agent, it becomes the house was painted. Okay, so this is basically how we form passive voice sentences. So let's review. First, we change the subject to be an object and the object to be a subject. Then we identify the tense of the sentence. We change the verb in order to include the form of the verb to be plus the past participle. The verb to be has to be in the tense of the sentence and then the past participle. And after that, we include the preposition by before the object or we eliminate it. Okay? So, before you start trying to convert sentences from active to passive, it would be important that you revised the tenses in English. Okay? Why? Because having knowledge of these tenses is very important for this topic. For example, we have several tenses. He paints the house. We know that that is simple present. He painted the house is simple past. He has painted the house, present perfect simple. He had painted the house, past perfect simple. He would paint the house. We know that would is a modal verb. He would have painted the house, right? It's a sentence with a modal verb in past. He's painting the house, present continuous. He was painting the house, past continuous. He will paint the house. Yeah, will is future simple, but it is also a modal verb. He will have painted the house, right? Again, a modal verb in past. He's going to paint the house, right? It's another form of future simple. And he should paint the house is another modal verb, okay? So as I said, before you try to convert sentences from active to passive voice, it would be important that you checked the tenses in English. Okay? So, on your screen, you have this exercise. Okay? You have the same sentence written 12 times, but in different tenses. Okay? So, be so kind to transform them from active to passive. Okay? Pause the video. If you need to go back to the previous explanation, do it. Okay? And get ready so we can check answers. Okay, so we have that the first case is he writes many letters. Many letters are written by him. Did you notice the sentence is in present simple? So the verb to be is in present simple plus the past participle of the sentence that is written. He wrote many letters. Many letters were written by him. Okay? The sentence is in past simple. So the verb to be has to be in the past simple plus the past participle of the sentence which is written. Many letters have been written. Yeah, is the passive voice for he has written many letters. Okay, if you notice the sentence is in present perfect. Okay, so we need the verb to be in present perfect plus the past participle of the main verb. He had written many letters. Many letters had been written. Okay, so we need the verb to be in past perfect plus the past participle of the verb of the sentence written. He would write many letters. Many letters would be written. So in this case, you have to put the verb to be with a modal verb. Okay, would be. And then the past participle of the verb write, written. He would have written many letters. Many letters would have been written. So you have to include the verb to be, yeah, and the past participle of the main verb. Many letters are being written by him is the present continuous form, right? Present continuous passive form of he's writing many letters. Okay, if you notice, the verb to be is in present continuous, and then you put the past participle of the main verb. The next sentence, he was writing many letters. Many letters were being written by him. You need the verb to be in past continuous, and then the past participle of the verb. He will write many letters. Many letters will be written by him. That is exactly the same case as with would. He will have written many letters. Many letters will have been written by him, which is exactly the same situation as with would in the previous one. He's going to write many letters. Many letters are going to be written. So you have to put the verb to be with are going to. Okay, and then the past participle of the verb. He should write many letters. Many letters should be written. So it's the same case as with would and with will. Why? Because should is a modal verb. Okay? So remember, this is very simple. You just have to identify the tense of the sentence, put the verb to be in the tense of that sentence, and then add the past participle of the main verb. Okay? So, when is a passive voice used? We use a passive voice when the object is more important than the subject. For example, in this sentence, Romeo and Juliet was written by Shakespeare. We are giving more importance to Romeo and Juliet than to Shakespeare. When the person who did the action is unknown, the bank was robbed. We don't know who did the action. That's why we use passive voice, and that's why we omit the agent. Okay? The third case is when the person who did the action is obvious. For example, the class was normally taught. Who teaches classes normally? The teacher. So if you notice the person who did the action is obvious. That's why we omitted the agent. Let's look at some sentences and let's try to answer them correctly. This is the kind of example where you have to find a mistake. So, according to you, what is the mistake? The answer was knew by most of the class. What is the problem? The problem is the formation of the passive, right? And the problem is letter B. Why? Because it should be the answer was known by most of the class. Remember, you have to put the verb to be in the tense of the sentence plus the past participle of the verb. What about this one? The authors of this book have been expressed great concern about the environment. What is the problem? The problem is that we are using the passive when the active is needed. Okay, this is a normal active sentence. Okay, so it should be the authors of this book have expressed great concern about the environment. Okay, be careful with this. Okay, what about this one? Which option completes the sentence? The piano blank to the museum. Okay, so we have being donated, that was donated, donated, or was donated. So the answer for this one, we need the passive, and the answer for this one is letter D, was donated. Okay? So, remember, before trying to convert any sentence from active to passive, it would be important that you checked the tenses in English. Okay? So, go back to the model, do the exercises, and see you next time.